Well, hello there, terrible warriors. Welcome back. We are finally playing another game. It's been a while. Did you miss us? I certainly missed this. I hope my muscle memory kicks back in when we start rolling these dice. Today, we are going to be playing a game I saw come across on my Twitter feed called Underhill by Water. And I'm going to explain a little bit more about this game. It's a little bit different, and I'm hoping to be quite a lot of fun. Of course, I cannot play these games alone, and I am not alone at this table, surrounded by my wonderful, terrible warriors. Starting at my left, your right, we have at the top of my screen here, joining us, Jo Drummond. Welcome back.
Hi, it's great to be back. Sad it's virtual, but happy to be back nonetheless.
You were with us for, what session 0 did you last join us for? It was Morkborg, right? Morkborg, yeah.
I think I pronounced that wrong.
Merkborg or something like that, but the Dark Fort.
Yeah, there we go.
our heavy metal
yes.
dungeon crawler. Some of the people involved in that game, the Kickstarter was happening right now at the time of our recording, and I'm backing it, called Dead in Space, and it is or Death in Space, and it's kind of got the same energy as Merkborg, but spaceships and like industrial survival, like think like the aesthetics of Alien, but without the aliens part, just like the Nostromo and like all that kind of like industrial ship in space kind of gritty feeling to it. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that game plays out.
My little gothy heart is very excited about that.
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to bringing that game out when it's available. Like, it's only in Kickstarter now, so it probably won't be until next year when we get a chance to look at it. And of course, coming back after talking with me behind the screen, I am joined again by kind of my shadow lately here on the Terrible Warriors. It's been wonderful to have. Welcome back, Sean Horbatiuk.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
And I know you and I are very excited. I just got a copy of the Dune RPG from Modiphius Entertainment, and we are going to be looking into that at the end of the month as one of our next session zeros. And when I told you about the Dune RPG, I believe you screamed like a little child.
A little bit. I've had the Dune theme song playing in my head on repeat pretty much since. So I'm very excited to break that out with you, because as much as I know I've been learning a little bit more about Dune lately, and but my exposure is really just the old movie with Patrick Stewart, and it is a thing, but so I'll be coming towards that game as someone who knows the 2D20 system from our time playing Star Trek Adventures, but not necessarily the setting. My understanding of the setting will just come from what I can glean from the actual rule book. So it'll be really interesting to see our two sides come together there when we play that. I'm pretty excited to see how they managed to translate it into a pen and paper setting.
Yeah. Because it's much more a political, almost courtroom, like court drama, like royal drama than anything action oriented. Like, yes, there's wars and battles and all that, but it's so much more about the policies.
Yeah, a lot of the focus is on who is doing what to who without who knowing. It's very
kind of plays into the same kind of challenges that would happen in something like a Game of Thrones RPG, where, you know, how do you make the RPG interesting without it also just being boring political nuances. Anyway, we'll get to that. That's not the game we're playing today. And finally, at my table, returning once again, the crooner himself, Velvet Duke.
Hey, everybody. I'm looking forward to this game because it's written right in the rules that you're allowed to sing as much as you want.
In fact, yes, it's encouraged. And you can mechanically help the other players. So the game we are playing today is Underhill by Water by Josh McCrowell. It's available for like $9 on itch, or pay what you can. Not pay what you can. I think it's minimum $9, and then you can tip as high as you want. And Josh McCrowell has made this game to be, you play as a halflings in a village who don't want no adventure, thank you very much. So you hear the stories of Bilbo and Frodo and all those maniacs who went off to do these great adventures and caused nothing but trouble and hardship for the families they left behind. We're playing respectable halflings who are staying in our village and looking after our own and our professions and our families, and we're not here to cause any scandals. It was described as Stardew Valley meets Lord of the Rings. This is a game where you are more likely to be about chasing down an ornery goat who's escaped from their pen, or gathering ingredients for a birthday feast, or showing up and growing the biggest turnip for the harvest festival. Those are the things that keep your halfling awake at night. not anything, no dark wizards or orcs or shadows on the mountains or dragons or anything. No excitement like that. No, thank you. Not for us. So that's we're going to, in this episode, we're going to make our characters. We're going to get to introduce ourselves to them and their dreams and their jobs that they have. We're going to name the village that we're in, and we're going to populate it with all the other NPCs and drama and businesses and taverns that are part of that village. So that's what this episode is going to be, our whole setup. And then next week, when we come in for our next episode, we will begin in that tavern that we have made, and I will roll up some of the worrisome events that are happening in our village to offer a little bit of drama. Because while our lives are quiet, they are not going to be boring. And so that will be, I'm very excited to try this out, especially as it's our first actual play game recording in over a year. I wanted to ease ourselves in with something a little kinder, a little nicer. This is marketed as a game to play with your group in between sessions if you're looking for a palate cleanse, or if someone can't make it and you want to keep playing but you don't want to play your primary game, you can put this one in as like a placeholder. And so it's very much this is not a game that you're going to play for years at a time. This is a game that you're going to play for weeks at a time. And so I'm very excited. I'm really excited that the three of you wanted to join me on this. So we're all going through. We've only read the PDF a couple days. We're all learning it together. So join us on this episode as we all muddle our way through Underhill by Water. Anyone what are your first impressions here before we get right into it? When I pitched this game, I know each of you have had your own look at this PDF about this before we get into it. Maybe we can compare our thoughts at the beginning of this game to our thoughts at the end of this game. Velvet?
I was excited for this because we have played so many adventure games where it's about the adventure, or environmental games where it's about how cool and mysterious is this place.
And the stakes are so high.
So high.
The future of our entire species is on the line.
And this one, it's literally, hey, did you have a thought? You stop that. And it's so chill.
Don't be getting excited now. No exciting thoughts now. You'll give yourself ulcers.
You'll give me ulcers. You don't want me to have ulcers. And it just, the tongue is firmly in cheek throughout this book. And it's very easy to access. Unlike some of the other games, this one says, hey, you want to talk about characters? Okay, let's go to 47. Page 47, here we go. And you just get into, and even at that, it is so easy. That really is, that's the theme of it. That's the energy of it. And so I was excited for that, because this, I feel, would be such a good social game. Because they are such a social culture already, it's like, hey, do you want to get over a feast and play a game for a couple of hours? Have I got the game for you? It will be meta, but we're going to have a blast. If you bring
the pizza to your game group, you can mechanically get extra points for hosting a party in this game.
Right.
So there's things like that really play into it. Sean, what are your thoughts going into Underhill by Water?
Well, as we started this up, Joanna said, hey, can I just make a cup of tea? And I thought that is the perfect summary of this game, is put on a cup of tea, or a pot, depending on your caffeine addiction, and just have a lovely afternoon. It sounds like just a wonderful, nice time, which is, I think, something we could all use right about now, just in the middle of all what's going on in the world. It just seems like a very refreshing change of pace from everything else RPG related.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And it's like, it for us, it's just like the start of spring. The tree outside my window is just starting to like the green buds have really come out after the rain. And so it's just kind of like, it's a bit of a recharging time. Canada's going through its time, but I know down in the States, so many of my friends have already been vaccinated. So there's this chance of like, we're almost there. There's that home run stretch as there's that light at the end of the tunnel. And so this game, I'm hoping, has that little bit of like that bit of hope and dreams and future and that relaxation. And now, Jo, what are your thoughts going into Underhill by Water?
Yeah, so a lot of my thoughts kind of echoed what Sean and Velvet said. I like that the rulebook just doesn't take itself too seriously. It's very well laid out. The character sheet even has a little overlay on top of it that shows you exactly which page to go to for every single portion of the character sheet.
Yeah, there's some really good accessible features in this.
Mm-hmm. And I just love that I get to actually make my dog as a character if I want to in this.
Yeah, that's going to tie in to another game we're looking into with you later in May.
It is.
When I told you about it. Mm-hmm. The one thing I did like, because this is a game that is made only as a PDF, there's no physical copy out. It also, it's very easy to read on a computer screen.
Yeah.
The fonts are bold and big, and they're laid out. It looks good on a phone screen. It's very much, a lot of the PDFs we deal with when we're recording on the podcast, they're print books that have been scanned into a PDF or converted, and so the fonts are really tiny, and they work well enough when they're in a book, but there's not a lot of. It's only recently I've seen more books doing a PDF version for tablets. I know Pugmire's got a version of that. They got like their phone version of the rules, specifically designed for phone screens. And one thing I liked about this PDF is that it was also just very easy to read, along with the layout being quite intuitive. And I thought that was a really cool feature on the character sheet. You can turn on an overlay in the PDF, which will tell you which pages each of the skill sets go to. So that was kind of neat. So
related to that too, in terms of accessibility, this PDF transferred into the voice reading capability much easier than some of the other PDFs. There were some cases where because of the font, there was a space in between one letter or another, but you could tell what the word was. And unlike others where it's like, it just kind of skips sections because it doesn't know what it's trying to say. And especially if there was lore embedded in that, where again, with this one, the readability, the legibility was so clear.
Yeah. So like extra points for that. So there are 7 steps to making your halfling here in this march. And then when we're done making your halflings, we will, you'll be picking which hole in the village you're going to turn into your home. And there's 20 places in that home. So we're going to try and get through this, and hopefully we can do this all in this episode. So first step, though, is your stock. All halflings are members of one of the 3 stocks: the Dulkeens, the Vonkars, and the Aldwins. You can choose or you can roll. Now, we've got 3 players today, so we already talked ahead of time of breaking that up so that we would have 1 player for each stock, and we'll go through and describe which each one. So who is going to be playing our Dulkeen?
That would be me.
Oh, so Jo.
I'm very excited.
Dulkeen are the most common stock of halflings in the Commonwealth. They're not as tall as the Aldwins, nor as stout as the Vonkars. They have curly hair, brown or black, on their heads and their toes. They have long, clever fingers, joyful red cheeks, and easy laughter. Along with all these other details, Dulkeens have 8 endurance that you're going to be marking down. I should be also keeping track of this. So we've got our Dulkeen.
Very happy to be a very nice, very standard hobbit. Thank you very much.
Very nice.
Thank you very much. Absolutely. Just a proper hobbit.
Just a proper hobbit. Thank you.
And you begin with 4 extra skill points placed as you wish. And you can let me know in a minute what those are. And then every time you rank up, Dulkeens also gain 2 more skill points. So most of you are going to only get skill points based on your profession. But the Dulkeens themselves, they're hardy enough that they get extra points to their skills. That's their big pro that they get for their group. And who's going to be our Vonkar?
I'm going to take on the very hirsute Vonkar.
Mm-hmm. The Vonkar are a stock of hearty, swarthy, tough, and stout little halflings. They're the heaviest of the three stocks, being inclined to eat. Vonkar mix often with dwarves and do a good trade with them. It's said they might have a little dwarf blood in their veins. In addition to furry toes, Vonkar have hair on the back of their hands, and the men have bristling side whiskers. They're the only halflings who can grow facial hair worth a damn. And so Vonkars start with 10 endurance. You also will deal +1 damage whenever attacking, if you end up attacking. And every time you rank up, you gain an additional d6 of endurance. So you get the most health points out of them all. You can really drag it out further than the rest of them. And so then that leaves Sean. You will be our Aldwin.
Indeed. That's exciting.
Aldwins are the tallest and thinnest of the three stocks. It's said by other halflings that they're criminally underweight. They have light-colored hair, tend to have blonde hair. Aldwins, more than other stocks, are given to wandering, especially in the woods and especially at night. And sometimes they meet elves there, and sometimes the elves will sing with them. Aldwins have 6 endurance, and they also get access to a random knack. Knacks are little magical charms or rhymes, and we're going to roll for your knack now. Mm-hmm. Each rank up, you will learn an additional random knack. Knacks are... Aldwins are weird, and they go about doing weird things. And you're going to get... We're going to be tracking it, a balance coin. Whenever you use your knack, you flip the coin face down. And whenever it's face down, I, the GM, get a chance to flip that coin back up by creating a what's called a balance move. And the balance move can be things like gathering storms or forcing a fail on a dice roll or things like that. So you get a little bit of good and a little bit of bad whenever you cause knacks. And the Aldwins, because of that, I imagine the other hobbits in our village must see the Aldwins as sometimes bearers of bad luck and omens and other kinds of things. I don't want you and your weirdness anywhere near me. Thank you very much.
So he's a wee bit squirrely.
Roll a d12 and find out which knack you are going to be starting with.
Okay.
And you can veto them if they're not interesting to you.
We got number 9, which is speed the work. So if nobody is watching you, you can perform about an hour's worth of work in the space of 10 minutes.
Do you like that?
I like that. That's fun.
So they look at you and you're like, we need you to paint this fence. And you go, it's going to take me all day. And then they leave and you come back and you're like off at the tavern drinking. And like, what are you doing? Like, well, I got it done. What do you mean got done? It was only 20 minutes ago. I got it done 10 minutes ago. And I've been here at the tavern ever since. So everyone thinks you're like cheating or you're hiring people to do work for you but it gets done. It gets done.
Or maybe they don't know and I'm just drinking a lot more. We'll see.
So along with your stock, you also have attributes. They're broken up into charisma, constitution, dexterity, intelligence, wisdom. Now, depending how you roll for these, you might get some additional attributes, which include one of them is called mouth breather. And so we'll get to them in a second. We'll see how things go. So for everyone, we'll go through each stat together. So we'll do charisma first. So roll a d6 and let me know what you get. Sean.
I got a 2.
And Velvet, what'd you get?
I got a bad reputation.
Oh, you got a 1. You rolled a 1.
Oh no.
Okay, so at a 1, you got a. I see. So for charisma, no attributes gained. That's why it is.
Yeah.
We're not. It's not like a stat number.
And with these, along. It's all if you get a 1 or a 6, that's when
it's only a 1 or a 6.
Yeah.
So you get a bad reputation. With a bad reputation, you fail. A failure using your charm skill immediately moves the NPC to unfriendly. What mistake did you make in your misspent youth to justify this reputation? We're going to come back around to that and find out why your Vonkar has such a bad reputation. And did you roll a 1 or a 6 there, Jo?
I did not. I rolled a 4. I'm a very averagely charisma hobbit. Thank you very much.
So on to Constitution. So once again, we'll roll it. Everyone roll a d6 and let me know if you got a 1 or a 6.
6.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
So you have a bad reputation, but you're also very tall for a halfling, which is also very tall for a Vonkar. We just described them as being the short So you're tall for a halfling. Increase your endurance score by 2. Your endurance is all the way up to 12.
I also rolled a 6.
You're practically a human, like walking around in halfling. Is that why you have a bad reputation? Is everyone just looks at you going like, you're not like that one time your mother went off to Bree and then came back with a wee one? And okay, so did anyone else get a 1 or a 6?
I am perfectly average height. Thank you very much.
Average constitution, Sean?
Well, I got tall, like I said, so.
Oh, you also got tall.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm very, very tall.
You and I are twins, maybe.
Your endurance is now up to 8. Same thing for dexterity. Everyone roll a d6. Let me know if you got a 1 or a 6.
Oh, come on. A 1.
You got, this is fun. You're full of so many attributes. You are lazy. In combat, your missile attacks fire at phase 4 instead of phase 1. So normally anyone doing long range attacks in combat would get to go first at every round, but you would go last every round but only for long range attacks.
Yeah.
But also I think narratively that's very funny. You have a bad reputation, you're very tall, you're very lazy. And everyone else just average dexterity?
5, yeah, average.
I also got a 5, yeah, average.
Okay, on to intelligence.
Oh, no. 6.
Oh, wow. It's just good and bad. What are the odds that you would have rolled 4 attributes already? You are learned. Your lore skill starts with a rating of 3.
I can't read.
Oh, you're unlettered.
I am unlettered.
Oh, my goodness. So Jo rolled a 1 on intelligence.
I did.
So you're unlettered, which means you cannot read. You need to use all of your fingers and toes to do any math more difficult than simple addition.
Probably need to use them for simple addition too, let's be honest.
Last one is our wisdom. Anyone get an attribute for wisdom?
Nope.
No attribute.
No. That was my favorite one is if you roll a 1 on wisdom, you're a mouth breather. Normally a halfling when around big folk always rolls with as if their rank is a 6, but with a mouth breather, your subtlety score, you roll with whatever your actual subtlety is, even around large creatures. All right, so that's so for now. Here's the other thing too. So you start your score with your luck skill is affected by the number of negative attributes you have. Every time you rolled a 1 and gained a negative attribute, you gain an extra skill point to luck.
Velvet's gonna have
that
fun.
Would be Velvet. Velvet has 2 because you got bad reputation and lazy, so you gain 2 more points to your luck. So your luck is all the way up to 3 now. And for Jo, your dull keen being unlettered, you also get a luck point. And so luck is the skill you go to when like nothing else works. So every halfling has a set of 7 skills that represent their competence at the business of living in the Commonwealth. All of your skills start at a 1 in 6 chance. Those are charm, lore, luck, a profession skill that will be determined in a second, subtlety, wrangling, and woodcraft. So if you have any positive attributes, you note down the increase to your skill score, which that's what we've been doing with a few of you. And negative attributes increase your luck score. Dull keen, we do have a dull keen here. You spend 4 starting points to increase your skills at this point. Each point increases your score in particular skill by 1. So you have 4 points to spend, Jo, on any of these skills.
I definitely want at least 1 in woodcraft.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the woodcraft skill is anything out in the wilds.
I don't think I'm particularly subtle. I think charm and lore would both be fun.
Okay, that's 3.
That's 3. And then let's also do a wrangling.
Okay, you spread them all out.
I did spread them all out.
Excellent. So on to your profession. Wizards have taken note that in the halfling communities, there's always just enough halflings to fill every required job. Everyone's got a job and all the jobs have been filled. It's always, the employment rate is always full there's no unemployment, but there's also no like job openings either. It's a curiosity in these villages that everything just gets met all the time. And so your profession, there's 50 choices here. We're not going to go through all of them. You're going to roll a percentile die. If you don't have one, I can roll on your behalf. And we're going to find out what job you have in town.
I forgot to grab a percentile. Do you mind rolling for me?
Sure. So, Jo, I rolled for you 68. So that's too high. There we go. 13. Actually.
All right. 13 is a courier.
A courier.
Oh,
that kind of works really well for you.
It does.
You gain a walking staff, a bird brooch, and a bird whistle. The first item in your profession can always be used as an improvised weapon, and it counts as like a D4 of damage. So that kind of works for someone who wants to go. You're always looking for excuses to go wander into the woods. But
no adventures, just wandering into the woods.
Yeah. It's not an adventure. It's a job. It's your job. You're a courier.
Yeah.
So you have reason to even leave the village and go visit the other villages or even the other marches to deliver mail and important information.
So do I put my
so under profession, you would just write courier.
And then in my pockets, do I have the walking staff, the bird brooch, and the bird whistle?
Exactly.
Excellent.
All right, that's fun. Sean, what did you roll?
I rolled 26, which is a leech. In the medieval sense of the word, which is sort of like a doctor, based on what they give you.
Right.
So that's wonderful. Our weird, of course, the weird Aldwin is our doctor. So you gain a pestle, smelling salts, and an herbal poultice.
Am I the courier because everyone trusts me not to read their mail?
Maybe. Because you're a proper, respectable Dulkeen.
Unlettered Dulkeen.
Unlettered. Yeah, you can't read the mail. You're send the illiterate to go do the mail. Even if they open it up, they won't be able to read what I read.
But are you the dullest of the keen or the keenest of the dull?
Yeah, you put the dull and dull. Oh, stop it with your wordplay, Aldwins. No one wants your wordplay. Just tell a proper funny story with a fart joke at the end, like everyone wants. So you'll roll for this profession whenever you think your proficiency with that chosen profession would allow you to avoid misfortune. Finally, Velvet, what's your Vankar's profession?
14, a farmer.
A farmer.
Which aligns with what in my head canon was anyway, so I'm quite happy with that.
So you'll get a pitchfork, an excellent tobacco, and a giant pet chicken.
Yes, I do.
That's perfect.
Definitely name this chicken. All right, so that's our professions. And then finally, now we get to your name and your family name. So they say here, the making a halfling name is you take a stereotypical British name and spell it like George R. R. Martin, or you can choose in the list below. You can name them whatever you like. What would you like to? Let's start with Velvet, so we're not going last with you every time. What is their name?
Yeah, their name is Hugo, and the family name is Weaver. We're a family of weavers. What number is that? Because that also tells you the name of your ancestral home. Oh, I didn't do it that way. I was going with the pun. All right.
Oh, that's fine. We can go with Weaver, but then let's also roll. You roll a 2d6s.
Okay.
And the first 6 is the table. The second 6 tells you what your surname and your ancestral home and its main feature.
Gotcha. So I rolled a 6 as my first number. So that's Dumbledy, I think, or the apiary?
No, it will be the 6 table, and then on page 21, then you'll roll another 6.
And that's a 1.
And so this is Topher, but we can change it to Weaver if you prefer. Yeah. And your ancestral home is Lockmore, notably small but a comfortable hole. Its door has no locking mechanism, but only opens at the request of a family member. You gain a key that can unlock any door, but it only works once.
Lovely.
So I'm going to put down Weaver. So you're Hugo Weaver. And your ancestral home is Lockmore.
Yeah.
As well as I'm going to write down you have a key, skeleton key, 1 use. It can open up any door, not any lock, any door. And so, on to Jo. What shall we name yours?
I'm going to go with Lana, which is one of the suggested female names. They also suggest taking a stereotypical British name and spelling it like George R. Martin would. But I'm going to just go with one of the suggested ones, which is Lana. And family name, let's roll for it. So the purple one will be the first D6, and the green will be the second. So I got a 5 and a 1. So
Puttering. The Puttering. Lana Puttering.
Oh, perfect. I do tend to putter around a bit.
So your ancestral home is known as Hearth's. And Hearth's is known for its many fireplaces that burn with curiously colored flames. You gain a fancy parade outfit.
Oh my.
Which is specific to the profession skill. So you can use your fancy parade outfit to automatically re-roll a failed profession roll, but it will also ruin the outfit in the process.
Right.
And so that is Hearth's. So it's known for its many fireplaces that burn with curiously colored flames. Turn on everything's RGB. Turn on all the LEDs. You're just a halfling streamer now. And finally, Sean. What shall we name yours?
I've gone with Darcy, but I've added an apostrophe to it because that's what you do in fantasy spelling. So it's D apostrophe ARCY.
Yeah, I actually have a real friend who spells his name that way.
That's fantastic. I appreciate that.
So Darcy, and what's your family name? What did you roll?
Well, let's roll it and find out.
Let's roll it now. First 6, what's it?
First 6 is also 6.
6, okay.
And number 3.
Number 3, Tunneler. It would be great if you end up rolling the same one, then you're definitely related. Mm-hmm. So Tunneler. So you're Darcy Tunneler.
Okay.
Darcy Tunneler of Deep Tunnel is the name of your home. This is the home that you've inherited. So you've recently moved to town. You've inherited this home from an uncle or an aunt who's passed away and left the Hobbit home in your name. You finally got to move away from your parents, and you get to move into your own home. And maybe it doesn't have to necessarily happen recently, but most homes in these villages are homes that are inherited along family lines. So your ancestral home that you live in is Deep Tunnel, the deepest hole of the Commonwealth. You gain a shield with a horn of plenty painted on it.
Okay. That's gonna sit over the mantle.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure you walked in there going like, well, this is what it is. So finally, we only got 2 more steps left. And the last step is your rank, which everyone is Miss or Masters. We don't have to worry about that. So this is effectively the last step. Dreams. Every player begins with a dream. This is their goal, the objectives that they want to accomplish during play. You can write down any dream you want, but if you need inspiration, you can roll from a D12 from the list. So, Sean,
I'll be rolling
your
a D12.
Dream. Okay.
And I got a 1, which is I want to woo someone special.
You want to woo someone special. I'll check in on this after we have populated our village with all the other characters.
Perfect.
And then you're going to pick which person you're wooing. And then I will tell you how many steps. I'm actually just going to roll that now. It's only a 2-step process. So I'll tell you how many, what you have to go through in order to accomplish your dream. Jo, what is your dream?
So I'm going to pick one of the ones off of the table. I'm going to pick the 4th one. Or sorry, the 3rd one.
I want to visit every tavern in the 4 farthings.
I do. It's a long-standing family tradition.
It's basically like the ultimate pub crawl.
Yeah.
It's like the Golden Mile from At World's End. Want to visit every tavern.
My cousin just recently completed the family challenge, and I'm very jealous.
Yeah, and they all have, like, your cousin has a tankard from each of the taverns on their mantle, like the way like someone collects amiibos. They've just got them all across the top of their mantle. So I'm going to see how many steps do you have to. That's a 3-step process for you. So I have a feeling that you're not very far along on this dream. And then lastly, here we've got Hugo. What's your dream?
This has been aligning exactly with how I wanted this character to craft. I want to win a blue ribbon at the Harvest Festival, but specifically, it's actually the opposite. I want my ribbons to be considered the ribbons that you want to win at the Harvest Festival. So I want award-winning ribbons at the Harvest Festival instead of
it's less of that you want to win the festival as you want to get you want to win the bidding, contract, blue ribbon contract at the Harvest Festival. That unfortunately is going to be a 4-step process. And I'm going to tell you how many steps. It's probably going to involve bribing the mayor. There's going to be a whole lot of things. You're going to have to I'm thinking definitely have to host a party. We're going to have to bring the who's who together. So that also then means assembling the guest list.
Yep.
So let's do it now. So step 1, you need you need to win hearts and minds of the planning committee of the Harvest Festival in order to get this contract. In order to win their hearts and minds, you will need to host a party with the leadership of the 4 farthings. No, not even the 4 farthings, because the Harvest Festival might not even be all of the marches, but just the march we're in. So you'll need to leadership party. So you'll need to send out invites.
I can help with that.
Mm-hmm. You'll need to send out invites. That'll be step 1. You need to host a party. Then step 3 is you will need to
regale them in some way. Like I'll have to tell like a really good story or something. Or entertainment, like the top-notch entertainment.
At the party, you will need to present a surprise.
Yeah.
And so so present a surprise.
I also will have to have this may not be part of this quest, but I will need to have a ribbon as a sample.
Yeah. Well, and then step 4 is you need a ribbon.
Yeah.
You need to make a ribbon. All right. So those are your 4 steps. Great. So you need to send out the invitations, you need to host the party, you need to present a surprise, and then you need to actually be able to manufacture these ribbons. So that you can actually follow through with your promises.
Yep.
So why don't we, and so the other one is woo someone special. We'll deal with that once we get to know, and visit every inn at the 4 farthings. Jeez, how do we do this? A
D50 of how many inns there are.
How do I do that in a way that could be done in the game session that we're about to play, so you can actually check off some parts of your dream, Joe? I'm thinking step 1, you need to get your cousin's map, because you said your cousin just completed it. You need to get the map. You need to know what route to take. So you need to actually know where all the taverns are. You need to get an updated list of the taverns and their rankings. So your cousin has that map. They keep it under lock and key. It's their prized possession. They keep it in one of the tankards above their mantle. So you might have to sneak in. You might have to steal. You might have to buy it from them. Whatever. Your cousin's got the map. You need the map. Then you need to... So this is less of you actually getting to the taverns, but in order to do your dream, you need to be able to go on your trip. This is like planning for your dream vacation. So you're also going to need to save up money for the travel expenses. You're going to need travel expenses. Mm-hmm. So you need to get a job, might need to get on another job, might need to get your early inheritance or something, but you need your travel expenses covered. And then last is you need to pack your supplies.
Okay.
Is there something about building tolerance? So you're not kicked out after the first inn?
That might be a challenge that the cousin could offer. I'll give you this map, but I need to know you're worthy of getting it.
Right.
So we're going out drinking tonight, cuz.
Oh, excellent.
And you've gotta outlast me. And if you can outlast old brother Bruiser, old brother Boozer, then the map is yours. Okay. All right, cool. So we'll find out who your cousin is in town when we're making these characters now. But that's your 3-step process in order to get the tavern. And so to woo someone special, you're going to need to invite them to the dance.
Okay.
And you're going to present them a gift. Which sounds simple, but I'm sure we'll make it complicated.
Oh, yeah.
So you actually have to talk to them.
Oh, no.
That's the first step.
That sounds difficult.
And you're very tall. So everyone comes off as if you're talking down to them. Literally, you are. Okay. So I'm going to roll this D20 here to find out our village name. Are you ready? It is Under-Moot. The village of Under-Moot. How do we feel about that? Yay, nay?
Okay. Sounds fun to me.
Under-Moot. Okay. The name of the village pub. So the pub, which I've put right here in the center of the map, right at the top of the bridge, is known as the Dog and Pool Pub.
The Dog and Poodle?
The Dog and Pool, Pool.
Oh, okay.
That's actually how they do their sobriety test. If you mispronounce the last word.
The Dog and Pool. The Dog and Pool Pub. And it's there's a famous painting crafted by a traveling merchant of it's not the dogs playing poker, it's the dogs playing pool on like a billiards table. So that's it. The Dog and Pool Pub. And this Dog and Pool Pub is famous for songs and stories told around a great hearth.
We just got our management agreement there.
We did.
Excellent. It approves. And so I mean, we could have gone for 7. It's famous for its dog. Its name is Luke, and he's the best boy. So let's go with that. Let's change it.
Okay, let's change it.
Songs and stories around a great hearth is nice, but I figure that that's just every tavern, isn't it? So it's famous for its dog. Now, do we want to call this dog Luke, or do we want to give dog a different name? Any suggestions? Luke, okay? Everyone's okay? So this dog, so the Dog and Pool Pub is famous for Luke the dog, and he is the best boy. All right, now beyond the hedge. So at the edge of our map, to the north, the top left of the map there is beyond the hedge. This place is what strange danger lurks just outside the hedge. It is a ruined city of elves who tarried here in sadness. A ruined city of elves just beyond the hedge. So that's what's at number 20 on our map. And now we get to population U. So on our map, you can see that all the little hobbit holes are numbered 1 through 19. And you can tell me where you want your ancestral home to be located. And we're going to mark that down. And then I'm going to fill in the rest of them. So let's start with Velvet. Where would you like Lockmore to be?
This is very cool.
So we've got, you mentioned being a farmer. So it's set into, so at the top of the map is the inner city. Then in the middle of the map is the outskirts. And that's sort of where the most of the people live, but they've all got neighbors. And then you got the boonies to the bottom of the map across the river. And that's where you got more open fields. And so as a farmer, maybe you're out in the boonies.
So 17 is my birth date. So let's say I'm in number 17.
Lockmore at 17. And so then, Jo, where is Heart's Hearth?
I think Heart's Hearth is probably, let's go with number 11. I think we're a family of couriers, so we don't want to be too far away from the village, but we also don't want to be too
you're on the main road.
Yeah,
exactly. You've got the access to the bridge. You're kind of in the center of town without being in the actual center of town, because that would be up at the square at the top. And then finally, Deep Tunnel. Where is Deep Tunnel, Darcy?
I'm thinking number 9 here, kind of right at the edge near the weirdness that is the Hedge. It seems like where the healer might be. It's kind of in the outskirts, but really on the outskirts of the outskirts.
Deep Tunnel. It's less of a hobbit hole and more of a bunker situation.
It's a healing bunker.
It's a healing bunker. Yeah, it's interesting because it kind of looks like a grave.
It's fine.
Kind of looks like a big tomb. Okay, so that's where Lockmore, Harshouse, and Deep Tunnel are. Now is where the majority of the time of this episode is going to be spent. I'm going to roll up the rest of these. So I got to get myself a D6, and I'm going and a D20, and I'm going to roll. So the next number here, actually, I'm just going to start at the top of the map and I'm going to work my way across it. So number 1 is a tavern. We got another tavern. This town is cool enough for 2 taverns.
My adventuring is going well already. I've already hit 2.
2 for 1.
19, this place is called the Whistling King's Accords. The Whistling King's Accords. It's right in the town center. So this is like maybe where those rich folks, the well-to-do Velvet, the people you're trying to woo over for the Harvest Festival, there's everyone in the center goes to the Dog and Pool Pub. That's where the common folk go. But the Whistling King's Accords, well, that's where the mayor, that's where the aldermans, that's where...
Yeah.
So they all go to. The Whistling King's Accords is known for its adventurers. The landlord used to do some wandering and is now visited by strange foreigners who tell strange tales. So if you're ever looking for people outside of town, travelers wandering from afar, they're probably going to be at the Whistling King's Accords. That might be why the Dog and Pool Pub. That's for halfling, for regular, respectable people, not for humans, dwarves, elves.
Could we say that I've gotten kicked out of there for light fingering one of their tankards?
Oh, sure, absolutely. We got a non-player character who lives at number 2. Where's number 2 on my map? Number 2 is right above the Whistling King's Accords. Okay, so who is this person? So the person who lives up above the Whistling King's Arms is a brewer. Oh, that makes sense.
That does.
And they are going to be, let's go with Polliver. And Polliver is 5 and 1. A puttering. It's another puttering. This is your cousin. Absolutely.
So my cousin's
the brewer of the Whistling King's Arms, a former adventurer, by the way, who retired and set up this place. He went off, and he didn't just stop at every tavern in the Four Farthings. He went beyond the Hedge. He left, and he went and he traveled the world to travel all of the taverns. So now he's back and he's retired. So he sets up the Whistling King's Arms. He lives just above it, and his name is Polliver Puttering. And he lives at number 2, and you live at the ancestral home, and Puttering, Polliver lives up there. So you're gonna have to go to number 2 to get the map of his Hobbit tale there and back again to be basically the Frodo to their Bilbo. Okay, at number 3. I lost that dice. Rest in peace. No, I don't want another tavern. We're going to do a meeting hall at number 3. This is the Knitting Circle is up at number 3. And they're a women's social club, ostensibly organizes community picnics and charity events. Any canny observers will tell you, though, that the Knitting Circle is a powerful political organization. Mayors and thanes alike will be obliged to bend to the gentle but unyielding power of this society. So, Velvet, the Knitting Circle might become very important for you to win the hearts and minds of the powerful elite in order to get your ribbon at the at the festival.
Yeah, I'll have to go to them first, period, to get even permission.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. These things don't happen. They have determined whose ribbons go on the Blue Ribbon Award since time immemorial. So you might even need to join the knitting circle. You might need to get membership to the knitting circle in order to even be even up for a consideration. Another meeting hall at number 4, and this is a meeting hall, is the Benevolent Rite of the Lion. This fraternal order couches itself in mysticism, morality, and symbols. Its members have a flair for panache and the theatrical, as their secret handshakes and code words are all fairly nonsensical. This theatrical air is countered by the utter secrecy with which members must cavort themselves with. No member of the Rite may admit that they are a member, or even that the Rite exists, even though the entire village may see them walking in their red robes into the Lion's Lodge every Friday night.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah, I feel like as an Aldwin, our doctor, our leech, really wants to get into the Rite of the Lion.
Yep.
Okay, we got another non-player character living at number 5.
I just want to point out that there's a club for people who don't want to be in a club, and I think that's phenomenal.
Yeah, I was tempted to try and join that group.
The lads who won't do nothing.
I hope I roll them up. We got the rope maker who lives at number 5, and their name is going to be Edith Headstrong, and they live at the ferry. The ferry isn't a hole, but a large barge. So they're a rope maker and a former sailor. They're a halfling that went to sea. I feel like Edith and Polliver might have been part of the same adventuring company. So if you want the best rope in the entire village in Under-Moot, you're going to need to go to Edith. But if you're going to go to Edith, you're going to need to sing her a shanty. that's you pay her in shanties. Boy, we got a lot of meeting halls in this town. Why don't we put, is it the lads who don't do nothing? Yep. At number 6.
That's the anti-club.
The lads. What's great is the anti-club is directly next door to the Dog and Pool pub.
Nice.
So it's always... So the lads who don't do nothing, social clubs are so prevalent in the Commonwealth. One was formed for the purpose of opposing them. The lads who won't do nothing is a social club of halflings who refuse to join a social club.
They all get drinks at the pub and then sit not too close to each other because that would indicate that they're in a club.
Yeah, exactly. We've got another player, an NPC living at number 7. That's across the street from the pub. I'm going to go with Nibs.
That's good.
Nibs Long Dweller. Nibs lives at number 7. And what does Nibs do for a living? They are the town's...
bicycle.
They are 17. They are the town's Fletcher. So they make the bows. They make the arrows. And they also have a pet raven.
I probably know them well because I also have some birds that I use for my work.
Yeah, so you and Nibs might be friends.
Yeah.
Edith Headstrong, Joe, lives at number 5. They're the town rope maker. But because they're a headstrong, their hobbit hole is not a hole. It's actually a barge that is placed up on top of the hill. And so immediately I'm thinking Edith and Polliver were part of the same adventuring company. And Edith is like the only sailor in town. You want to have good rope. You want to get the rope from a shipwright, right? You want to get like sailor's rope, sailor's knots. You can purchase rope from Edith Headstrong through shanty and only shanty. She's not interested in money. She and Polliver came back from adventures with more gold than God. So she wants shanties. You need to sing her a shanty in order to get rope from Edith Headstrong. And so then Nibs Long Dweller lives at number 7, and he's our town Fletcher. And at number 8, we're going to have another player, another non-player character. Do we have a name that anyone would like to suggest?
Griffin.
Oh,
who may be a birder, or what do they call the people who... a falconer.
So Griffin is a lambingi. They live at Empty End, which is said to hide some hidden treasure in it somewhere. Griffin Labingi, Empty End. And we're about halfway, then we're done. Another player at number, where were we at? I just did number 8, so we're up to number 9.
No, 9 is Sean. We're up to 10.
Oh, yeah, 9 is Sean. That's Deep Tunnel. And then at number 10, we have the 2-1. It's a Fairborn home. Tree home. Isn't carved into a hill at all, but it's the side of a giant tree. That's Tree home is there. And it is home to 16. A fisher. That's where our fisher lives. That makes sense. They're right near the river. And so that's where our fisher lives. And our fisher goes by the name of... Oh, let's go Porto.
I'm at number 11.
So what did I say? That that was the tree home? What was tree home? That was Fairborn. Porto Fairborn, rather. They live at Treeborn.
Tree home.
And they're the town's fisher. 11?
12?
Is going to be another meeting hall.
For number 12?
Yeah, for number... sorry, Hearthurst is 11, so yeah, we're up to 12 now. That's where Jo lives. So at number 12 is a meeting hall, and it is the prestigious Order of the Eagle, a reserved society of intellectuals, philosophers, and debate enthusiasts. Entry to the Order of the Eagle is predicated on being able to defeat a standing member in a riddling contest, which is a primary occupation of many meetings.
I feel like Sean is going to win entry soon.
I feel like I've sorely misunderstood what this order is for, and I keep bringing my birds.
Yeah. Well, and Nibs also lives just north of the order at number 7.
Both of us just keep bringing our birds and are very confused as to why they won't let us in.
It's kind of like how when like a subreddit gets taken over, when like r/white power got taken over by painters to describe like the colors of different Pantone white paint shades.
That warms my heart.
So number 13 is the home of, I'll roll the profession, is the home of our, keep rolling over 50, 26. That is our, we've already got a leech, so we'll re-roll that. 30, our Methier. They gain a knife, thick gloves, a bottle of mead, a pet bee. What's a Methier? I've never seen this word before.
Neither have I.
Cleaners, and then you have people who are methier. I don't know what it is.
I mean, from the description, do they make
Someone's
mead?
working on their Order of the Eagle entry.
A methier. It's a
methier.
I know Methic Glen is a type of mead.
Yeah, it's somebody who makes mead.
In 1940, it's a type of farmer. It's a mead. Okay, so it's they make mead.
Awesome.
Oh, cool. Well,
that's exactly what
something new. Learn something new every day.
Perhaps they're in a bit of a rivalry with my cousin.
Yeah. So this Methier, who lives at number 13, is 6'3".
That's tall.
They're a tunneler. They're related to
Sean's.
To Sean.
Oh.
So they're another tunneler. So at number 13, I'm gonna go with Belladonna. Belladonna tunneler.
Oh, that's nice.
Period. It's a type of flower.
Yeah.
Belladonna tunneler, the town Methier.
Sean, what's your character's name?
Darcy with an apostrophe.
Darcy Tunneler.
Darcy Tunneler.
And 14. 40. Town Shepherd lives at 14, and they are a member of they're a smaller one family. So that is the
smaller one.
Beetle Black Hall is at number 14. Beetle Black Hall. And Beetle Black Hall is not built into a hill, but built into the carapace of an ancient onyx-shelled giant beetle.
Ooh. That's very moral.
There's an item in there that screams if goblins are nearby. So who's our shepherd? I'm going to think Largo smaller one. All right, 15, almost there. We're now, I think. Oh, this is the last one in the outskirts before we get into the boonies. So we have a 24. That is our knacker. They're the town knacker. And they're from the family of. They're another Lebengi. Where I have empty home, empty end. Where did I put Lebengi?
At 8.
Oh yeah, Griffin. So they're actually, as it works out, they're right next to each other. They live next door. So that's just where the Lebengis live. And so Griffin Lebengi lives next door to
Abigail
Lebengi. And they're the town's knacker. Again, I don't really know what a knacker does.
I just looked it up. They dispose of the dead animals, etc. So living next door to a Fletcher, if you have those feathers from somewhere.
Yeah. And living just north of the shepherd at Beetle Black Hall. And whatever the Order of the Eagle gets up to. Okay. So they dispose of dead animals in town. Okay, cool. So 16, and then 17 was already done, and then 18 and 19. So only 3 more to go. We're almost there. 3. What's a 3? It's a guild hall. So 16 is the location of a guild hall. When this location is roll in the profession list. The guild hall for this profession is based in this location. Most villages have enough halflings of any particular profession that you can find just about any trade good that the Commonwealth has to offer. However, the very finest of wares of this profession can be purchased at the guild hall, and every member of this profession comes to your village once a year for the annual convention. So this guild hall, this is the guild hall of very particularly 44. It's the tax collector.
Wow.
That's 16.
Okay.
And it's right at the bridge going into town.
That's hilarious. We collect only the finest taxes here.
They set this up after Poliver moved in because they have to make sure that all of the gold inside of Under-Moot doesn't leave Under-Moot and cause complete, total collapse of the economy. So both Edith and Poliver had to agree to just sit on their gold like dragons and not spend it. So the tax collector guild halls were set up, and they hold their annual tax collector convention every year in Under-Moot. Jesus. Okay. Tax collector guild hall. That's a thing. That definitely paints a picture of what this town is like.
I bet they're a riot.
Oh my goodness, they are just so much fun. Okay, you live right next door to the tax collector guild hall there, Velvet. And do you want to have a human neighbor, or do you want to have a tavern for a neighbor? Because I just rolled another tavern.
Let's make it another tavern. Let's have
just you're just surrounded by you're not in you're not in a neighborhood. Okay, so we have 3 taverns in this town. This is no wonder you want to go on a tavern pub crawl. This tavern that you live next door to, Velvet, is the I'm gonna roll the Wandering Stone Inn. And this is an inn that's out in the boonies. So these are people that are staying here that don't want to go into town for whatever reason.
It is most the tax.
Yeah, right? It is most famous for ghosts. It's said the place is haunted. At the very least, you dream strangely if you stay there. So your neighbor on the left is the Tax Collector Guild Hall. Your neighbor on the right is the haunted Wandering Stone Inn. And then you're finally down, the other person who lives down in the boonies is going to be the 35. This is the town's peat cutter. Makes sense out in the boonies. Mm. They cut the peat. They're always out there with their lantern and a 10-foot pole, and they have a shovel. They are a member of the family 3-3. They're the However family. And they live in Brassgate. So your only real neighbor out in the boonies, Velvet, is this character. Let's go with Bodo, however. The peat cutter of Brassgate.
Also, I looked up a knacker, and in addition to just kind of removing and clearing animal carcasses, they process it for any potential like useful byproducts as well. So
tallow, so Fletcher,
soap,
and they live right next to the Methier. They live next to the Fletcher.
Mm-hmm. They might be able to provide fertilizer for Velvet's farm.
Yeah, and for Beetle Black Hall. So then 18 is the Wandering Stone.
I thought 17 was the Wandering Stone. Maybe I have an off by one somewhere.
17 is Lockmore. That's where.
Oh, I missed Lockmore.
Lives. And then 19 is Brassgate. Okay, so this is the town of Under-Moot as we know it. Off beyond the hedge is the ruined city of elves, and as we move in, we've got our town square, which is of course home to the Knitting Circle. The real power brokers in town, and the Whistling King's Accords, which was set up by Polliver, who is related to our Miss Alana Puttering. And so Polliver Puttering came into town with a lot of gold, along with Edith Headstrong, a rope maker. That makes up the center of town. In the outskirts, we have our main pub, the Dog and Pool Pub, which is mostly kind of the clubhouse for the lads. Don't have a meeting hall so much as they use the Dog and Pool Pub as their meeting hall, and so they're the anti-club club. Across the street from the pub is Nibs Long Dweller, our town Fletcher, and next door is Griffin Labingi of Empty End. Across the street, we've got our Aldwin Master Darcy Tunneler, who's our town leech, and they live next door to Parter Fairborn, our Treeborn Fisher, or Fisher of Treeborn. That's the name of their home. And across the street from Heartshearth is then Heartshearth and Deep Tunnel are right close to each other, and you live just across the street from the pub there. There, Lana. Then and then across the main street, we got the Order of the Eagle, which Nibs and Lana keep misidentifying what they were actually up to. And next door to that is our Methier, Belladonna Tunneler, one of Darcy's cousins. Largo, smaller one, lives at number 14. They're the Shepherd of Beetle Black Hall. And Abigail Labengi is our knacker, who lives just north of our shepherd. Then, of course, we cross the river into the boonies, where we have the home of the Tax Collector Guild, which was set up as a response to what Polliver and Edith brought in to Under-Moot all those years ago. And that's where we find Lockmore and the home of Master Hugo Weaver. And they live next door to the Wandering Stone, an not often used pub, mostly for the people who can't afford the tax to cross the toll bridge. And so that's thought to be a haunted inn there in our boonies. But our other person who lives out there in the boonies is Bodo, however, the peat cutter of Brassgate.
So I'll let you all in, because we're all friends. I'll let you in on a secret. Bodo and I have been the ones spreading the rumor about the ghost
of the Wandering Stone.
We have a private inn.
You just got this whole place all to yourself.
And keeps the tax collectors out mostly. That's mostly what it's about.
Yeah, pretty much. The two of you are just running this like propaganda campaign and spreading that out. I love it. So we'll just review. You've got your Lana Puttering. You want to visit every tavern in the Four Farthings.
And I have got a good start.
You've got a good start. Most of the taverns are right here in town. So that gets you started. Polliver set up the Whistling King's Accords. And somewhere, Polliver has the map of all of those taverns. You can't go on your adventure if you don't have a treasure map. And you need to get that from him, however. And then you need to save up enough travel expenses that you can afford to do this journey, because you're going to be spending not just to get there, but also when you get to the tavern, you need to be able to have enough left over to order a drink and to stay there. And then you're also going to need to have your travel supplies packed up and ready so that your affairs are in order, so that you can leave Under-Moot to go and retrace Polliver's great adventure that he went on there with Edith. Hugo, you want your blue ribbon to be the ribbon in the Blue Ribbon Harvest Festival. You have a much actually harder task than the tavern quest ahead of you, because we've got so many different guild halls. And I'm thinking, I know I had it as like you need to invite the leadership and host a party. I think you need to, it's a 4-step process. The final step is the party. The first 3 steps is the Knitting Circle must accept your invitation. The Order of the Eagle must accept your invitation. And the Lads of No Order must accept your invitation. And if you can get all 3 of these guilds to attend your party, you will have the deciding votes necessary to win them over. And then you must also have a successful party with all 3 of those groups in attendance. So that's step 1, 2, 3, and then 4 is the party. And then lastly, we have Darcy Tunneler. Your dream is to woo someone special. So who in town do you want to woo?
I'm going for Edith Headstrong, and I think one of the big barriers that I've run into is I don't know any sea shanties. I've never been anywhere near the sea. I don't even know where to begin. So
they say the elves sing songs in the ruined city. Ooh. Maybe you could learn a song from them that Edith has never heard before.
That would be nice.
So maybe so in order to woo Edith Headstrong, it's a 2-step process. You need to learn a new song. You need to sing her the new song. That's the steps. So the step 1, you don't. She knows all the shanties. She's been to sea. Yeah. You've been to the river, and even then, water is a little.
That's a lot of water.
It's a lot of water. So maybe step 1 is you need to learn to swim. So you need to learn a shanty that Edith has never heard, right. And then you need to perform the shanty to Edith at a public party, at a party or a festival or some kind of an event. So you need to put on a display. Right? So I'm changing. I know I had to like invite to dance, present the gift, but for Edith, it takes a more bespoke approach. So welcome to Under-Moot. And when we come back next time, we're going to find out what's going on. While you're here in town, I'm going to do this final roll so I can do stuff to prepare. I am supposed to roll for what is going on in town when you meet at the inn. So we're going to start at the inn. We're going to begin our session at the Dog and Pool pub with that very good boy Luke licking at someone's heels. However, number 9. Wolves have come down out of the mountains, and their cries are heard at night. The sheriff's office is giving a small reward for wolf pelts. So that's the worrisome event that's happening this season. Current events. Number 4, a date of an historical event. Goblin battle, village founding, birthday of important relative. It's a birthday of an important relative. Oh, so an historical event is coming up. It's Polliver Puttering's birthday.
Excellent.
So nice. Polliver Puttering's birthday is coming up, and like the whole town is celebrating and like reenacting some of their favorite stories from his adventure. For personal complications, I roll a d12 for each of you. So we'll start with Lana. Number 8. last month you lost a bet on a chicken race to a particularly annoying neighbor, and now they're asking for 6 copper from you. How are you going to go traveling when you're this much loaded in debt? Lana owes 6 copper. And I can roll a d20 to just find out who on the map you owe it to. So you owe it to number 4, which is
the benevolent.
That's the Lion's Right. That's a meeting hall. So I'm going to re-roll that so it's an actual person. You owe it to number 13.
That's the Methier.
Is Belladonna Tunneler, the Methier. So you owe it to Belladonna Tunneler. You owe 6 copper to Belladonna Tunneler for losing a chicken race bet. Chicken bet. That's what you get. We have Darcy. You're 9. You woke up this morning with a splitting hangover and no memory of coming back from the tavern. What happened?
No.
So you're literally doing the hangover.
Oh boy. Putting that in caps.
I'm definitely going to have people going like, wow, last night was wild to you. And then lastly, Hugo, your flowers are particularly beautiful right now. They would make an excellent gift for someone special.
Oh, what a hardship that is.
I mean, this is it. And if you don't start gifting your flowers and you keep them all for yourselves, people are going to be like, look at you growing all these flowers and no one to give them to. What's wrong with that, Hugo? And then finally, just another day in the village. These aren't the only issues going on at the village. At the beginning of the season, I roll a rumor table to generate some buzz about other threads that can be followed. I can keep rolling for quick and easy rumors. 2 halfling family names are given at any point if it's appropriate. The GM can roll or choose the most interesting to fill out that rumor. So I roll 13. The beer at rival village's tavern is quite good this season. It might be worth to nip over to taste it if your local landlord doesn't find out about your treachery. So I'm going to roll up the name of the tavern in the neighboring village. So the neighboring town is Needleford. And the town, their village, of which they only have one, they're only worth enough for one, is the Pilgrim and Harp Pub. Yeah, the beer at the Pilgrim and Harp Pub in Needleford is actually quite good this season. It might be worth to nip over to taste it if your local landlord doesn't find out about your treachery. And so those are the rumors going about, people talking about that drink. And we forgot the very first thing we were supposed to do is when we were rolling up our village is creating the village. I'm rolling a d4 to find out which march we're in. And we're in the North March. There's a dozen or so villages in each march, and every halfling think that somebody from another march is a bit queer and almost certainly a foreigner. And we can find out what's going on in the others. So we're up in the North March. So Under-Moot is in North March. And then the 4 farthings would have you going to all 4 of the marches.
Right.
And then the center of the Commonwealth is known as I want to get the name right. It's known as Farthington or Forthing Town. And Farthington lives right in the center of the 4 marches and is home to the Thane, who is elected by the 4 mayors of the marches every 6 years. And so in the center is Farthington, and then around it are all the 4 marches. And our town rival clearly is Needleford and the Pilgrim and Harp Pub. So there's our map. There's our home for our halflings. We know where everyone lives. We've got some drama. We've got our dreams. We've heard that there are wolves coming down from the hills, and the sheriff has put out a bounty for wolf pelts. So it's up to you if you want to worry about that or not. But sounds like each of you have your own goals in mind, and there's some intersections there. With Polliver's party coming up, that might be just such the occasion in order to invite and woo these VIPs. It might be also the same place where a certain shanty could be sung, but you've got until the party to learn that song. You know Edith will be at the party. Edith was part of the adventuring. She'll be a guest of honor at Polliver's party because it's also a bit of a party commemorating their big adventure together. So there we go. Oh boy. We'll find out.
For my character creation, there was something that had I made a mistake that made me unfriendly. Is that a thing that has to be determined now, or would that?
So you have a bad reputation. Yeah, you have an attribute that has a bad reputation. Whenever you fail a charm roll, the NPC will immediately turn hostile to you. Why do you have such a bad reputation? Something happened in your misspent youth that you've just never been able to shake off. What was it?
I think that I just tying in with everything we've already said, I think that I had an unofficial party at Polliver's place without Polliver's permission while he was away adventuring or at another farthing. And I basically went, hey, everybody, let's pretend that we're rich or pretend something. Because I'm such an outsider on this map, I'm uninvited, I think is the theme I'm going for.
Oh, okay. So it's just a case of Hugo has this bad reputation of you used Polliver's place. You were as your own like party palace while Polliver was gone, and you have a reputation of being like this very irresponsible. You're very tall for your age, even as a young halfling, and you're kind of treated as this reckless party animal that just caused damage and scandals and can't be trusted. You're irresponsible. You're lazy.
Because I'm tall, I was the one that could get the mead because I looked a certain height.
Yeah, you could trade with the big folk, and they would just think that you were like the size of like a teenager human. And so so there's this whole bit about like your height already turns people off a bit. You're known to be lazy, which isn't really helpful in a village where everyone puts in their work. And then on top of that, you've got this reputation of what you did to Polliver's place. And Polliver is like a local hero in Under-Moot, and put this place on the map. It's the reason why this town has 3 taverns and everywhere else only has 1. And so there's a lot going on. The money that they brought in, this town is prosperous because of Polliver and Edith. And for you to, trash his joint in the name of a party and to use his name to try and elevate your own, right?
Polliver's
like we're having a party at Polliver's
yeah.
place, right? Polliver's place, not your place. So you're just kind of like riding coattails. So there's this bit of like just disingenuous. You don't have any respect, and you don't have any respect for the heroes of this town. So, and that was however long ago. It was so long ago. Like you're a farmer now out on the edge of town, and you've been like pushed to the very edge of society. You're on the other side of the toll bridge, out there with Bodo. Cutting peat in a haunted tavern.
The tax collectors are more respected than I am.
Right? Oh my goodness. Maybe you'll have a way of like fixing your reputation as this comes through. And it all starts with that ribbon. It all starts with the ribbon at the harvest. You got an uphill battle because no one in that knitting circle even wants to look at you, let alone entertain you at a party. We will find out what happens to Hugo and their quest to clear their name, to Darcy and they're clearly into older women, which is fine, and then to Lana, who just really needs to go on their adventure because every year you have to listen about Polliver's story, and it's time for another story to be told, and it's going to be your story, and so you're getting ready for your great adventure. We'll return to Under-Moot next week here on the Terrible Warriors. Until then, thank you for joining us. You can find out more about this game in the show notes. There's a link to the itch.io page where you can play this game for yourself, and I'd love to hear about it. We'll be posting the map that we've drawn onto our Patreon channel, so you can see what the town of Under-Moot looks like. And when we come back next week, we will pick things up at the Dog and Pool Pub, and we'll begin the first day of spring in Under-Moot here on the Terrible Warriors. Until then, I've been your GM, Justin Eacock, and I have been surrounded at the table by my wonderful halflings, starting with
Jo Drummond,
Sean Horbatiuk,
and Velvet Duke.
And until we meet again, be good to each other. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.